Oh, sure, we're rolling. We're rolling now. Oh, my goodness sakes, huh? Okay, here's a man with pleasure I welcome to the stage, and I know that he'll augment the night to such a degree that we'll be splitting. And actually, he really is a talented guy. Please welcome Don Hepner. That's Hep. Come right up, Don.
Cistern. The words for the text tonight are, Old Mother Hubbard went to the cupboard to get her poor dog a bone. But when she got there, the cupboard was bare, and so the poor dog had none. These beautiful words, friends, carry with them warm meaning, and I propose tonight to analyze them for you, lofty though they may be, to our everyday life. Old Mother Hubbard went to the cupboard to get her poor dog a bone. First then, Mother Hubbard then was old. And there being no mention of others, we may assume she was alone. A mere lonely widow. But friends, did she despair? Did she gnash her teeth? Or read a novel? She went to the cupboard to get her poor dog a bone. She solely merely went to the cupboard. And when she got there, the cupboard was bare, and so the poor dog had none. When she got there, hey brother, you see the beauty in perseverance. You see the beauty in doing right. She got there, with no leanings to the left or to the right, with no slippings or slidings, with beautiful simplicity, we are told, she got there. Suffice it for us to glean from this story the material frailty of human nature. Brethren, observe the three morals of my story. Lesson number one. Always have more than one cupboard in the house. Lesson number two. To beware of keeping dogs that are fond of bones. Lesson number three. Avoid being an old mother. I thank you. Thank you very much. My name is Don Hepner. Every time I get up here, I never know what to talk about, you know, because I'm not gay, I'm not black, and I'm not Jewish. But my childhood was different. I'll tell you why it was different, see, because I was the only kid in the neighborhood who peed the bed each and every night without fail. Now, that was an embarrassment and a disappointment. I'll tell you why it was an embarrassment, because one night I went over to a buddy's house to spend the night, and I was too embarrassed to tell him that I peed the bed, so they didn't bother to tell me there was an electric sheet on the bed. So about 2 o'clock in the morning, unfortunately, I electrocuted my friend and singed all the hair off my body. It was a disappointment, see, because it prevented me from being the one thing I wanted to be more than anything else when I was a kid. And that was I wanted to be a Boy Scout. But unfortunately, I couldn't be that because I used to have this nightmare, you know, that I'd go out on an overnight camp out with the Boy Scouts, and the next day the headlines of the newspaper would read, Boy Scout drowns in sleeping bag. It was also difficult for my parents because they tried to be as helpful as they could, but sometimes they said things that made me feel bad. I remember one night my dad walked into me and looked at me and said, if you pee the bed tonight, tomorrow night I'm going to tie a knot in it So that has a tendency to scare you and frighten you, those kind of things. And also there were no girls in my neighborhood, so I didn't have any opportunity to play doctor, no prepubescent sexual encounters, so I spent all my time in the library reading Shakespeare. And you know something? I believe Shakespeare was also a bedwetter. You didn't know that, did you? Talked about it in his famous soliloquy of Hamlet, you know, to pee or not to pee. Take arms against the sea of trouble and by opposing in them. And I spent a lot of time looking at National Geographic magazines, you know, the special issues on primitive African cultures. And it was in the library where I had my first sexual experience. It's true. Happened on the 3rd floor. It was one beautiful, warm summer evening. I was sliding down the banister, climbing up, sliding down, up and down the banister, holding on with one hand, and in the other, a fold-out from National Geographic magazine. Because I don't know whether you know this or not, but for us older guys, National Geographic magazine is the father of Playboy, Penthouse, Chic, all those great magazines, because it offered us an opportunity to get a look at some real, bare nib-nubs, if you know what I mean. And you know something? I saw some nib-nubs just the other night. I was at a party. There were 20 of us sitting around, getting to know each other. We were smoking dope. Ooh, I'll take a hit off of that. Ooh, I'll take a hit off of that. I'll take a hit off of that. And right down there was a young lady. She had a newly born baby. The baby began to cry. The next thing I knew, she whipped out a nibby and was nursing the baby. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, every time I see someone nursing in public, well, it makes me uncomfortable. And people say, I don't know what's wrong with you, Don, what's wrong with you? It's a natural, normal, beautiful thing. It may be, but for me it's uncomfortable because, quite frankly, I don't know where I should look, but I know where I want to look. And I think it was embarrassing and a little uncomfortable for everybody else because the conversations died down. I looked around, everybody was talking to their feet. Oh, I got to get a new pair of shoestrings for these. The conversation died down, and I heard the mother say to the baby who had finished, do you want any more of this nibby before I put it away? And then I heard myself say, ooh, I'll take a hit off of that. I just finished the experiment out at UCLA Medical Center. It was a male contraceptive nasal spray contest. Thank you very much. Well, I didn't hear a big round of applause for that, but I'm going to tell you why I did it anyway. You see, I believe it's the man's place to take full responsibility for birth control. Thank you very much. Nothing egalitarian about that. It's just simply I don't trust anybody. But you know something? For men, it's difficult, you know, and I'm really upset about trying to buy prophylactics and all of those things for contraception. Because when it comes down to it, there are only 2 types of contraception for men. The first type, of course, is a vasectomy, which is just a euphemism for saying, hey, you've been spayed. The second type of contraception, prophylactics, rubbers, condoms, if you like. And you know something? They now have designer condoms. It's true. They've got green ones, purple ones, red ones. And why not? They've got designer chocolate. And I just went down the other day, and you walk in and get Calvin Klein condoms, sculptured, shaped, and toned like the men who will wear them. And just in October, I went down to the fashion show to see the new line of designer condoms. It was a bizarre experience. All the male models running around dressed in nothing but an erection and a designer condom. Found out one thing, though. Prophylactics, one size fits all. It's kind of a sad thought when you think about it. Because I go over to my closet and I look in the drawers there and I got socks that one size fits all. Athletic supporters, one size fits all. It's true. I was so disappointed when I found out that I wore an extra large jock simply because I had an extra large waist. And every time I go to buy prophylactics, it's always an embarrassing situation because invariably there is a woman pharmacist or clerk there. And I always say and do stupid things, especially if she's not particularly attractive. As a matter of fact, she's not very good looking at all. She looks a little bit like hammered dog poop. I always say something like, want to give me 12 of those prophylactics? Got a big night ahead of me. Now, if she's beautiful, I say even stupider things like, want to give me 3 of the green ones? You know I'm trying to quit. So the other day I went to the drugstore and there was a beautiful pharmacist there and I walked up to her and she goes, hello, may I help you? Yeah, is there a male pharmacist around? No, I'm sorry. They're all out to lunch. Oh. Okay, will you give me 3 prophylactics, please? Pardon me? Will you give me 3 prophylactics? The green ones, I'm trying to quit. She looked at me and she grabbed them, and just before she put them in the sack, she looked at the back and said, "Ooh, how sad, one size fits all." Put them in the sack and sent me up to the cashier at the front of the store, and I waited in line, a big, huge line. I got up there, and wouldn't you believe it? There was no price on them, and I couldn't believe what the woman did. She leaned into her microphone and said, "Betty, how much for the 3 prophylactics, green ones? I guess he's trying to quit." I mean, talk about knocking your dick in the dirt. You know what I mean, guys? But then from the back of the drugstore came, "Those rubbers are $1.85 plus tax. You know, one size fits all." So I was at the point of breaking. I was at the point I was ready to go out and buy a bottle of rubber cement and then paint one on when needed. You know what I mean? So I did this experiment out at UCLA Medical Center. It wasn't too bad, as a matter of fact. First thing I did, I had to go in there on weekends and spend 24 hours. Second thing there, well, they treated me like a prince and fed me like a king. Third thing they did, well, they took blood every hour. And the fourth thing, you know, I had to take, or rather I had to snort, because it was a nasal spray, this male contraception. At first I was a little apprehensive and started out kind of going, but as I ended up, I sounded like a hog in heat. So I did this thing for 120 days, and then they had to test it, see if it worked. And I don't know how to tell you how I did this or not, but, well, let's see. They came in with a Dixie cup, a National Geographic, and pointed me to the 3rd floor banister. The results of the experiment, well, I'll tell you, it was 100% effective. I didn't get anybody pregnant in 2 years, but I think it was because of the side effects, you know what I mean? I mean, I put on 70 pounds, I lost all the hair on my body, and I grew a set of boobs. And when you look like that, there ain't nobody going to interface with you, if you know what I'm talking about. Well, at this point in my life, I have to decide what I want to do when I grow old. Do I want to grow old as a doctor, a lawyer, a president of all those professions available to me? I figured probably what would be happening is that I'd probably grow old as a stand-up comic. So right now I'd like to give you my impression of what I'll be doing when I'm 93 years old. I don't know what to talk about. I'm not gay, black, or Jewish. As a kid, I used to pee on Boy Scouts. Every time I go to the 3rd floor, I always get an erection. I was at a party the other night, and there was a woman there, and she had a kid, and I asked her if I could hit it. I just finished an experiment at Harvard University. I had to snort designer rubbers. Right now, I'd like to do an impression for you, one of my favorite people. I'd like to do an impression for you of Albert Einstein. Yeah. I got this theory about relatives, you know. Albert Einstein. I'd like to do an oldie but goodie commercial for you now for Foster Grant sunglasses. See that celebrity wearing those Foster Grant sunglasses?
show here for Foster Grant sunglasses. Oh, thank you very much. I'd like to tell you one thing, you know, President Reagan's had some of his nose cut off because he had cancer on it. Which just proves one thing. Cancer is contagious because I know where he's had his head for the last 5 years. I'd like to leave you with one thing. There's been a big controversy about the Classic and the new Coke. Personally, I've been always addicted to the Classic Coke. If you come back next week, I'm going to shoot up horse. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My name is Don Hepner. You've been a great audience. Thank you very much.
Don Hepner, thanks an awful lot, Don. Good job up here. Those impressions are great.